Again, do I think he's going to be a valid role player in the NBA? Yes, I do believe so, but he just needs the time that a young kid of his age needs, right? He's a young guard, 19 years old, so much to learn on that level. We're going to see him more in the G League this season, and hopefully by the end of the season, I'm going to eat my words, and he's already a regular role player for them. Welcome to the Coach's Mind podcast. My name is Rob, and I'm going to take you through my world of looking into basketball from the coach's perspective. A little bit background about myself. This is our first episode. Some of you know me, some of you might not. As I said, my name is Rob, 32 years old, originally from Germany, born and raised over there. Started my coaching career 10 years ago, was active in the youth development program and player development with the pros before I made my way over here to Tampa, and currently working with the National Basketball Academy and the Orlando Magic youth program. In today's episode, we're going to look back on the basketball historical week throughout all the levels of basketball. I'm going to host my NBA award prediction show, and we're going to go into some breakdown stuff later on in this episode. So let's start with the historical week of basketball. True to my European background, I want to start with the EuroLeague, and which is big for me as a development-based guy. Paris basketball just got their first win in EuroLeague history last week. 6 years ago, for you, those of you who don't know, Paris basketball didn't even exist. So their club got started 6 years ago in the second division in France, which is the Pro B. And for some of you who are not familiar with the European system in basketball, you have to win the championship in your respective league to move up, or if you finish the bottom two spots, you're going to move down. So what Paris basketball has accomplished in the past 6 years was winning the championship in Pro B, then moving up to Pro A, winning the championship there in the same year they won the Euro Cup. Euro Cup is the second highest division you can play in Europe. It's like a international competition where the top teams of each league play against each other. So Paris, for example, they played in a domestic French league in the Pro A, which is the highest league in France, and they played in the Euro Cup. After they won the Euro Cup in the 2022-2023 season, they moved up to the EuroLeague, which is the highest level you can play in European basketball. So if you really think about that long-term process, the vision that these guys had, it's pretty remarkable that in the span of 6 years, they played in front of 200 fans in their first season, all the way up now to being this big-time program in Europe. They sell out crowds like 15,000, 20,000 people, and they finally got to celebrate their first win. From the local standpoint, they have a player who grew up in Tampa, played at Tampa Prep. His name is Tyson Ward. Most of you know his dad, who was running the skill center in Tampa. And after Tyson graduated from Tampa Prep, he went on to play at NDSU, North Dakota State University, before making his way over to Europe. And also I want to tap in on his journey a little bit. So he went to Würzburg, which is in Germany, my home country, and played 2 seasons over there before he moved on to Bonn, which is already a team that was established in European basketball in the Champions League. And then when head coach Thomas Isalo transferred to Paris, he went with him. So, and now this is his second year in Paris. He got to experience all the ups and downs of a European journeyman, and I think this is something for all the Tampa local kids out there. If you don't know Tyson, it's time to look him up. Good. Moving on from EuroLeague to the WNBA. I think all of us heard about it. The Liberty finally won their first championship in history as one of the original franchises, right? WNBA Finals is definitely going to be a series to remember. A lot of highlights, a lot of hard-fought battles. All of us going to remember Sabrina's shot that got them the series lead for a long time. And yes, we heard about it a lot. We talked about this a lot. I want to also tap in on the questionable calls in the end of Game 5. And I don't want to talk too much about the foul call or not. The one thing that got me going and got me thinking was Stewie's travel before the foul call. And I want to take a look at that real quick. All right, let's rewind that real quick. If we go back on the catch, I know some of you might take it as the gather step, and some of you don't. But when I was watching it live, it drove me crazy that the refs let that travel go. So she establishes possession of the ball right here, and as we can see, she has taken 4 steps before she even dribbles. 1, 2, 3, and 4 before the first dribble. You're going to watch it in live speed again, and it becomes even more obvious. Like, come on. Like, the foul call, yes, maybe no. I see where the refs are coming from. Because if you look at it from that angle, if you get hit in the midsection of your body, it is pretty normal that your arms will go down. That's just human nature. You get hit in the midsection, chest area, core, your upper body will move a little bit. Now, after watching all the reviews, do I necessarily agree with the foul call? No, but this is not the thing that really shocked me. It's that travel, and I want to show it one more time. It's just the shuffle before she even takes the first dribble that got her the advantage to even get in the situation of the foul call. I don't want to take away anything of the Liberty's success. I don't want to hate on Stewie. I don't want to hate on the refs. It's just something that becomes more and more apparent to me that NBA officials, WNBA officials, and I see it even in local high school basketball, they don't take pride in calling travels no more. And I understand what all this is coming from. I saw LeBron's tweet where he mentioned that players should decide the last minutes of the game. I understand, but this obvious travel has to be called. And I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this because it sounds like I'm hating on the Liberty success. I do not. I think Stewie deserves it. I think Sabrina deserves it. They put together a great team. And for Jonquil Jones stepping up, rightfully so, being named the finals MVP, stepping up when both of the stars didn't have a good day, that was just big. On top of that, for me, as a German coach, of course, I'm super happy for Leonie Fiebig and Nayara Sabali, both 2 German girls that are the first WNBA champions, which I think is amazing. It just shows how European basketball or global basketball in general is catching up on the men's and the women's side. Good. Moving on to history in the NBA. We all witnessed last night the first ever father and son duo on an NBA court. LeBron James and Bronny James finally got to play together in a regular season game. I was always, from the beginning when I heard that Bronny might get picked by the Lakers, I was always caught up. Again, no hate here. Do I think Bronny is a legitimate 55th pick in the draft? I do not think so. Do I think he would have been drafted if his name wasn't James and LeBron wasn't his dad? I don't think so either. Do I believe that he can be a solid role player in the NBA? Yes. I do believe so. JJ Redick already voiced his interest in using the G League affiliate, the South Bay Lakers, a lot to develop his players. And I think he just got this one out the way. Like, expectations were high, and I'm pretty sure the conversation between JJ Redick and his staff was, let's get it out the way in the first game so there's not that media pressure going into every game. Are they going to finally play together or not? Yes or no? When are we going to see this duo on the court? So I think it's pretty dope for LeBron to play 20 plus seasons and playing with his son who's 19 years younger on the same team. It's just one thing for the ages. One thing I do want to point out though, and the Wolves will not be the only team to expose Bronny. I picked up one clip right here from last night's game when Bronny came into the game with 4 minutes on the clock, and the Timberwolves immediately went to an action to involve him. So as we can see, it's 3:59 on the clock now, so the substitution just happened. First possession of the Lakers. Bronny almost gets his offensive rebound right there. But then we see coming down the court, Timberwolves' first possession, immediately involving Bronny. As we see here, I'm going to run it back real quick. They immediately expose the matchup, right? Julius Randle guarded by LeBron James over here. Joe Ingles guarded by Bronny. What did they do? They immediately go into a pick and roll because they know the Lakers going to switch everything. So what it leads to is Julius Randle on Bronny right here. Julius Randle on Bronny, and this is just the matchup. This, what they call a mouse in the house. This is just the automatic bucket. And this was just one game. This was one possession, I know. But I'm pretty sure because of all the pressure, because of all the publicity, all the hype, teams playing against the Lakers, they will expose that matchup more and more. And again, I'm not a hater on Bronny at all. He's a kid making his way into professional basketball. And this is awesome. But the Lakers got to be ready for more matchups like this, getting exposed. And there's just nothing he can do against an experienced player like Julius Randle. I want to show it in live speed one more time. They're going to bring it down the court and immediately expose the matchup. They don't even think about it. Flow into the pick and roll. Switch is there. Easy bucket. It took the Timberwolves one possession to get Bronny involved into an action and immediately score out of that. On top of that, he came into the game with 4 minutes on the clock. The Lakers were up 16. He left the court 2.5 minutes later, and the Lakers were only up 9. So I don't want to only blame it on him, but if we take that short sample, that small sample size that we have, Bronny is a -7 in his NBA career as of right now. No? Again, do I think he's going to be a valid role player in the NBA? Yes, I do believe so, but he just needs the time that a young kid of his age needs. Right? He's a young guard, 19 years old, so much to learn on that level. We're going to see him more in the G League this season, and hopefully by the end of the season, I'm going to eat my words, and he is already a regular role player for them. Good. Also, last night, NBA opening night, the Boston Celtics tied the record for 29 made threes in the game. And I just want to touch on that really short because towards the end of the episode, we're going to break down on how they accomplished that. They already started out with 10 made threes in the first quarter, which also ties the record for most threes made in the first quarter in an opening night, which is just incredible. And we're going to see how Joe Mazzulla and his guys accomplished that towards the end of this podcast. Before we break it down, I want to get into the biggest part of today's episode, which is going to be my NBA season award predictions. And a small disclaimer right here. We are recording this on Wednesday, is the night after or the day after opening night. So I really have no sample size. And other than these two games last night, which had no impact whatsoever on my predictions. I'm going to go through the 6 main awards that we have in the NBA. It's going to be the 6th man of the year, most improved, defensive player, rookie, coach, and then, of course, the MVP. And I'm going to give you guys my pick and an insight on my thoughts on why this player or the coach is going to get in. I'm going to start off with the 6th man of the year, which for me is going to be Dante DiVincenzo. Couple reasons for that. Last year, he already had his best year with the Knicks in a bigger role, and they finally let him run the show which wasn't the case with the Kings or the Warriors before that. And the trade that happened was very unexpected, I would think. Everybody was happy about having the Villanova boys together. They were ready to rock and roll. And then they're going to trade him to the Timberwolves. And we already saw during the last preseason game, he was chirping towards the Knicks bench and said something like, "This is what happens when you let me run the show." And I'm pretty sure he has a big chip on his shoulder, and he wants to prove everybody, especially the Knicks, that he can be a big-time player. And we saw in preseason, and then it just got confirmed yesterday, that he's going to be the number one option when Anthony Edwards is not on the court. So they're going to be like the transition period between him coming off the bench and taking over. It's going to be like 2-3 minutes. That looks like there's going to be the rotation based on all the preseason games. And then he's going to be the clear number one option on the Timberwolves team once Anthony Edwards goes to the bench. His playmaking, his defense, his rebounding, I think Dante DiVincenzo is going to be the sixth man of the year. Come to one of my favorite awards, which is going to be the most improved player. And I went with someone who I thought should have been a little bit further ahead in his development. And I think is going to have a breakout year this year, hopefully. I was picking him the last 3 years. It didn't happen. I'm going with Jonathan Kuminga from the Golden State Warriors. Number one reason, I think he's going to benefit with the departure of Clay. He's going to have a bigger role. He's going to have a different role. He's going to have way more playmaking to do. And the one thing that always sticks out with me in the Golden State Warriors organization, their development and their system takes time. Like none of the young players really developed in 1, 2, or 3 years. Brandon Podziemski last year, of course, coming in as a rookie, facilitating that big was not normal. But if you look at the Golden State Warriors system, even someone like Steph Curry had to take some time, right? Different coach, I know, but I think his athleticism paired with improved decision-making and hopefully by now becoming a 35% shooter from three, that's going to make him the number one option for a most improved player. If, and there's a big if, his catch-and-shoot jumpers and his decision-making off the dribble improve the way I'm hoping to. Defensive player of the year. I think there's one player that comes to everybody's mind who's just going to change the game without even trying, and that's going to be Victor Wembanyama. Just his versatility in year one was already something we have never seen before. He can guard, of course, he has to pack on some muscle, but he can guard the post already. He is going to change shots around the basket, rim protection. He's going to be able to switch onto guards, and even if he gets beat, he's able to recover and block shots, alter shots. And I can only imagine how his defensive IQ in year two with Popovich and now with Chris Paul is going to catapult him to a different league, right? I think it's going to be a French battle between him and Rudy Gobert once again. But I think ultimately, Wembanyama just has more defensive skills. He has more abilities on his God-given frame, obviously. And the fact that he can guard 1 through 5 and doesn't have to be worried about switching on guards, I think that's going to ultimately leave him as the defensive player of the year. The next one was the one I had my hardest time getting to a call. Rookie of the year. I think we have a solid, talented rookie class this year. I decided to go with Reed Sheppard from the Houston Rockets. Not only is he my favorite player this draft class, he's also the best shooter in the draft. And the way he played at Kentucky showed that he can coexist next to a dominant ball handler, which he had with Rob Dillingham in Kentucky. He's also going to have that with Fred VanVleet in Houston this year. He's going to have that with Jalen Green. He's going to have that. He has to be able to play both guard positions, and I think he's perfect for that young team. when Fred VanVleet goes to the bench. He showed at Kentucky, same thing when Rob Dillingham went to the bench, that he can run an offense by himself. He's a great playmaker. His passing, his kickouts, his vision is extraordinary for a rookie of his age. And the number one thing is he can just shoot. And I think a scoring young guard who can play defense, who's able to run an offense when he's on the 2 spot, who's able to just move into space. I think he's a perfect fit for what the Houston Rockets needed. He's a great fit for Coach Ime Udoka. And I want to say it like this. It's gonna be a battle between Reed Sheppard and I'm gonna call that surprising pick, Dalton Knecht. I was going back and forth between those two because the same way that Dante DiVincenzo is gonna run the show for the Wolves when AE is on the bench, Dalton Knecht is gonna run the show for the second unit with the Lakers. And I think it's only gonna be a matter of time until he establishes himself as one of the top rookies in the class. Ultimately, I went with Reed Sheppard because I think he's, from the beginning of the season, he's more NBA ready than Dalton Knecht. I want to go with Coach of the Year next. And Coach of the Year was also not easy for me. I'm a big fan of excellence. So I was already impressed with what Coach Joe Mazzulla did last year with the Boston Celtics in his first full season as the head coach. And given the fact that he almost has the entire team back, which gives him a lot. It's just a big advantage. You know the players are coming in. You know the personalities. He already established a relationship with his role players, with the stars on the team, with his bench guys. I think Joe Mazzulla got overlooked last year in the Coach of the Year race. And I am 100% convinced if the Boston Celtics piece together a 60-plus win season this year and going to win the East again and going to be the best team in basketball like they were last season, there's no way Joe Mazzulla is not going to get the Coach of the Year award. MVP. And I know I'm going to get a lot of mixed feedback on that. I'm going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, in my eyes, should have won the award last year. Why? It's pretty simple. He played on the youngest team in the NBA. OKC Thunder last season were 23.9 years old, by far the youngest team in the NBA. They won the West, second best record in the league. He is a young leader, so humble. He plays the right way on both sides of the court, which I think is the number one thing that differentiated him from Luka Doncic and Joker last season. And just because of that, how he leads the youngest team in the league, playing both ends of the court. And now with the additions, in my eyes, OKC had the best offseason additions with Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Given the fact that they were already that good last year, and now they have an upgrade defensively, which OKC already defines themselves. They want to be young and hungry offensively, share the ball, and they have the leader of the pack in Shai. If same way that I was called, if the Celtics get the 60-plus win season, and Coach Mazzulla is going to get Coach of the Year. If the OKC Thunder finish top 3 in the West again, then SGA is going to be the MVP, most valuable player of the season. And we're going to keep all these videos, all these predictions. And so by the end of the year, we're going to come back to that and we're going to find out if I was right or how far I was off from my predictions. That's definitely going to be a fun one. Okay, leading into the next part of the show, which I call Brain Over Bag. And a little bit background on how I came up with that name, or why I think Brain Over Bag is fitting. 3 years ago when I moved to the States, I realized the difference between European youth basketball and American youth basketball right away. And I wasn't familiar with all that, I'm in my bag, he's in my bag, let's put that bag work in. It wasn't really something I was confronted with back home in Germany. So when I moved here, and I got to watch a couple of middle school and high school games, it was a different world for me. It was different basketball, different rules. The coaching was completely different. And the one thing that stuck out with me, or for me, was just the lack of basketball IQ in all levels. I know there's a different structure behind it. Kids don't spend the entire year with the same program like they do in Europe. They play for their high school for 4 months of the year, and then they're with a different coach and a different travel program, and focuses way more on playing than it is on development and practice. So the whole reason behind this show, the coach's mind, and also the brain over back segment, that's going to be the biggest part of every episode, is I want to bring more basketball IQ out in the community. Because it's going to be tough. Everything today's youth basketball is about chasing the cloud on Instagram, chasing the cloud on TikTok, wherever. Who can do the fanciest dribble moves in front of a cone, which you will never use in a game, right? So much high school basketball. I've been going to our guys here in Tampa have this XBL summer league going on, or fall league, and I see so many talented players, but also so much wasted talent on the same court at the same time, which, coming from my background where team basketball, decision making, and playing the right way, quote unquote, is in focus, in comparison to here, where the individual skill and everybody has a trainer, and even 5-year-olds start dribbling in front of cones instead of understanding the game first. And I want to help this. I want to build a platform. I want to create something that, even with NBA players, you see that even at the highest level, it's not about back work. It's all about basketball IQ, making the right play. So today, we're gonna break down the Celtics game from last night. We're gonna break down their historic 29 made 3-point shots, and we're gonna dive deep into, number one, the numbers and the statistics behind it. But also, I'm gonna have some video prepared for you guys to show how easy it is to create high quality shots if you just play in the flow of the offense and you give up a good shot for a great shot. I'm pretty sure everybody heard that before. And the first team becoming popular with that in the last 20 years were the Warriors. They just moved the ball, moved man around. And the Celtics, since Mazzulla took over, is just on a different level, and we're going to see why. So, quick overview of the stats. Celtics made 29 threes. They had 102 possessions total, which, whoever knows Coach Joe Mazzulla and his philosophy, he is big on out-mathing the other coach, the other team. He looks at basketball like a math equation, which I think if you have 102 possessions per game, chances are high that you're going to win a lot of basketball games. Compared to a high school game where each team has like half of this, 50 possessions, 60 possessions, right? Out of these 102 possessions, the Celtics attempted 61 threes, which is unheard of. 61 attempted threes. They made, we all know that by now, 29 of them. In total, the Celtics assisted on 33 of their 48 field goal attempts. Right, so let that sink in. 33 assists on 48 field goal attempts. That shows that all these isolation, 25 dribble step back work is not part of the Celtics game plan. And you can ask yourself, why is the best team in the NBA, defending champs, not playing the way high school basketball is played these days? Like, there must be a disconnect between what the best level of basketball players are doing and what's happening in youth basketball and youth development over here. Of those 29 threes, they assisted on 20 of them. Right? So it shows, and we're going to have the film here, it shows that playing the right way, playing unselfish, and playing or giving up a good shot for a great shot will always be unbeaten. Right? Of course, you're going to live by the three and you might die by the three at some time, but if the numbers just show it. 102 possessions, and we're going to see a couple of them are generated out of offensive rebounds. If the hustle, everything clicks together, it's very hard to beat a team like the Celtics. So let's dive deeper into the film right here. Okay. There we go. So already here we see early transition. It's 7 seconds into the shot clock and they already initiate their early offense. You're going to see a reversal pass, Drew to Jason Tatum. And then we're going to have a wide pin down from Horford for Jaylen Brown. And we're going to see they expose the New York defense right away because they already know that right here, Cat is going to help on Jaylen Brown's curl. And what that does is open up Al Horford on the catch. We see Jaylen Brown's defender going over the screen, right, to take away that wide open three. So Cat is forced to help. With two shooters on the weak side, it's really hard to help off the weak side on the curls right here. And this is what's going to make the Celtics so hard to guard. You just talked about this before the season started, before this episode started off camera. When the Warriors started all that, they just had Steph and Clay. The difference between the Warriors back then and the Celtics now is that all 5 players on the court can shoot the three. And we're going to see. Because Cat had to help on the curl, this right here is all the space a shooter like Al Horford needs to get his shot up. Right, and there comes there we come back to the unselfishness, right? If Jaylen Brown didn't curl around, he wouldn't open up Al Horford. That's one thing I love about basketball. It rewards the unselfish player. If you sacrifice or you put in work for your teammate, the game will reward you. And we're going to see when it comes back. Everything inside the flow of the offense. And this is something you simply cannot do against a player like Jason Tatum. I know that screen is going to set far outside of the three-point line. On-ball defender Mikal Bridges goes over the screen, and you can just simply not play a drop coverage, which McBride is doing here. You cannot play a drop coverage with that much space with a player like Jason Tatum. Right? He's going to expose that right away, and rightfully so. He's going to shoot that one off the dribble. Right, just too much space for a player like Jason Tatum. And the Celtics have a couple of plays. They can just expose that pick and roll coverage right there. All right, on to the next. It's hard to see that because of the replay. This is a very simple set with a, you have it here, with a double screen away, stagger screen in basketball language. And we're going to see that there is a big miscommunication between the two guard defenders. We see Cat again in his drop coverage right here. He's going to drop away from Luke Cornett. But the biggest mistake is here. Is that miscommunication between the two guards, which is, for a shooter like Sam Hauser, even a step of daylight is just way too much space for him. On the catch, you see how much space he has. Wide open shot. Oh, wait. That was that one. You're going to watch it one more time. Miscommunication on the stagger. Wide open shot. All right, this one is one I've been preaching to my team since I started coaching a lot. The easiest way, or one of the easiest ways to create a wide open three is after an offensive rebound. And I hope this is, if any of you guys, any of the young players can take this one away. After an offensive rebound, there's two ways to create an easy score. You can either go right back up for a layup, or you can kick it out to the three-point line to one of your teammates, right? If you look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 white jerseys in the paint. And now Xavier Tillman can choose between the two of them. Both of them are wide open. It's pick your poison type of deal. The one thing you always want to do after grabbing an offensive rebound, check if you can go up for the layup or kick the three-point out. Kick the ball out for the three. Right? And if you listen to Reggie Miller at the end of the clip, he's going to confirm that. This is what kills you, right? Offensive rebounds, wide open kick out threes, that's what's going to kill you. Everything inside the flow of the offense. We have a brush screen that gets Brown out. We have a back screen for Drew Holiday. There's just so much happening at once, so much ball movement. That might have been my favorite possession of the first half. Right? It is already hard to guard a pick and roll against the Celtics, but if they keep moving the ball like that, they keep moving the man and the ball at the same time, just look at all the flow, right? As I said, we had a brush screen here. Now this turns into a back screen for Drew Holiday, which immediately turns into a staggered screen. This is already three different options to guard in the span of 2 seconds. We're going to see that the clock is now at 17, and when the ball comes back out, it's at 15, 14, something like that, right? There's a back screen. Here's the stagger. Shot is not there. They're going to defend it. They're defending it pretty well. Shot is not there. So what is the next read? Again, it's not time for Jaylen Brown to get into his bag and create an ISO offense. We still have 12 seconds on the clock. What's going to happen? Shot is not there. Sam Hauser flows into a screen. Skip pass to Drew Holiday. Flows right into a chase screen. Right? And we still have 9 seconds on the clock and nobody's panicking. Nobody's thinking, ISO, I got to get the shot. And that's the second thing. It's easy to create three-pointers if the ball handler gets his feet into the paint. If you create paint touches, defense will always be sucked in and you can always find your three-point shooters on the weak side. Right? If we look at this here, and Anunoby, one pass away, helps too far, and Brown is just smart, reading space, creating a good angle for Drew Holiday to pass the ball out. Right there. And you already know that on the catch, right here, too much space for someone like Jaylen Brown to miss these shots. Great read. Again, where did the ball go out? Back into the paint, another collapse, and now you see how much space Drew Holiday has over here. So much time he could even dribble and reset his feet, right? So I hope that shows you that in the last, we watched like 6 clips right now, there was nobody getting into an ISO 3. It was all high-level IQ, high IQ basketball, creating mismatches, creating advantages. Again, we already know by now, Celtics like to start with that little brush screen right here at the elbow. So, first time we watched, it was an over and drop coverage. Now they adjust to a different coverage, right? They already know they can't play the drop coverage against Jason Tatum on top. So they're going to show or level, right? So now Celtics are smart enough to flow into the next read. Ball goes again, short roll, trying to get the ball into the paint. right? And this is a prime example of giving up a good shot for a great shot. As he catches it, he already sees the man running out, closing out on him. But Pritchard already knows that this is one of the Celtics automatics. People going to fill right here into the corners. So he knows Derek White and he sees him, right? That's his vision. He sees Derek White sprinting to the corner. Easy, extra pass, wide open three. All right, again, nothing simple, no breakdown, isolation basketball, just smart, unselfish, quick decisions. All right, last one. Got one more. Towards the end of the game. Want to hone in on that one again. After an offensive rebound, look for the three-point line, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 Knicks players inside their own three-point line. So, simple math, 1 or 2 players should be open on the three-point line. This time it so happens that it's one of the best players on the court, right? Or one of the best shooters, on the court, Sam Hauser, right? Doesn't need that much space. One of the most beautiful jump shots I've seen in a long time. Good rhythm, good follow-through. That's money. One more time. Oh, so that's the wrong clip. Gonna show this one more time to hopefully hammer that point home that after an offensive rebound is the best time to look for a kick-out three. Right? And it's funny that is almost the last 3 the Celtics hit last night before they end up missing 13 straight and didn't get their own single record with 33s made. But I think it's obvious to see that the Celtics don't create shots because they have the 2 best on-ball players. They create shots because they have the best team and the most unselfish team on the court. And again, the numbers show that 20 out of 29 threes were assisted. If they continue like this, they're going to have the best team in basketball once again. Good. The last part I want to transition to right away, I call it the play behind the highlight. I always encourage my players to watch as much basketball as possible, even if it's just highlights. And I know there's a big misconception out there, and I hear a lot of coaches saying, don't watch the highlights, you can't learn from that. And I highly disagree with that. Because if there's no breakdown, if there's no mistakes on defense, if there's not an offensive player who does something extraordinarily well, there is no highlight. So the way I see it, sometimes players don't have the time, which I also don't agree with, to watch full games or to watch a half of the game or whatever. We don't know what's going on in their lives, right? So for me as a coach, it's important to feed them as much video as possible. And sometimes it is just a highlight clip. Maybe they just have 2 or 3 minutes to watch a highlight. And I think it's our job to teach players how to learn from every clip they watch, right? So I call this segment the play behind the highlight. And this one happened in the first round of EuroLeague, which was 2 weeks ago. One of my favorite coaches in Europe, Jelko Obradovic, he is coaching at Partizan Belgrade, team from Serbia. And he just hired Carlik Jones. We might remember him from South Sudan. He was the point guard during the Olympics. And he has his guy on the team. And this is a major highlight that went viral. But I think even in this 7-second clip, there's so much to learn from for players. And we're gonna go through this real quick. So it all starts with how they get into their spacing. Pretty similar to how the Celtics want to play. They want to empty ball side corner and send them through to the weak side to create that spacing. And they're going to flow right into a empty side or naked side pick and roll. All right, so corner is empty by now. You see all that space they want to operate in. And they have 1, 2, 3 players spotting up on the weak side and occupying the weak side defenders. So right here, this is where everybody can learn from. this defensive coverage is called over. And we had this earlier as over and drop when the big guy drops. So the number one thing as a big defender you want to avoid is that the roller gets into your back and gets behind you for that space. This is one area of the court you can't see him, and you are going to be vulnerable for the dump off passes or lob passes. All right, so what's going to happen here? Carly Jones turns the corner, and now it's already a 2-on-1. And this is all the advantage he needs, right? His big guy, also Jones, his name is Tyreek Jones, reads the situation perfectly. One teaching point that I have for all my players, once you see the defender's jersey number or the back of the head, it's time for you to cut. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. It's a hard roll to the rim. And now this play is going to look spectacular, but we're also going to see why it happened. All right, you see the flex, rightfully so. The whole team is flexing. That was a great play. But once again, if they didn't create the 2-on-1 after the pick and roll and they punished the pick and roll defense, which was here, over and drop, he would have never gotten into that space, right? And of course, the pass is a skill itself, right? Passing always looks so easy, but if you don't work on that, it's going to be a lost art soon, right? So that pass is right on point. And there's just nothing you can do against that pass, right? And again, I hope that shows that even from a 7-second clip like this, you can learn how pick and roll could be played against different coverages. You learn what not to do, right? How not to rotate, reading 2-on-1. Like that's the name of the game, is creating 2-on-1 or creating advantages, right? The more we eat up space, and that can be on the defensive end, on the offensive end, we create advantages, right? And I highly encourage all of you listeners, all of you people watching out there, if there's clips that you want me to break down, please send them in. I'll put all my contact in the show notes, Instagram, email, Twitter, or X, excuse me. Just hit me up. I will gladly break down all the film for you guys, and hopefully that was helpful and some of you could learn something. And with that, almost at the end of the first episode, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, I want you guys to remember, champions are not born, they are coached, right? So I want you to keep working on your basketball IQ and fall in love with your own process. That's all it is. Everybody's journey is different. Don't compare yourself to other players, and be coachable. Until next time, thank you.